Dyes on your eyelid are both incredibly common and incredibly uncomfortable. They seem to occur at the most inopportune time. In today's video, I'll go over some common causes and give you some tips for how to get rid of styes quickly. This is Eye School with me, Dr. D, where I teach you about products and treatments related to dry eye syndrome and eye beauty. I'm an eye doctor that treats patients with dry eye, and I pay special attention to makeup and skincare. I even have an esthetician that I work closely with in my practice. I'm obsessed with helping you achieve beautiful, comfortable, and healthy eyes. So make sure to hit the subscribe button if you enjoy my videos. So I'm going to say Stye a lot in this video, and I just want it to be known that that's not the actual term. The actual term is Hordeolum, but that's a long word. So as I say Stye, know that I mean Hordeolum. So why do styes occur in the first place, and what are they? Well, Stye is just a common term for what we in the medical field call a Hordeolum, or a Chalazion. So Hordeolums can be internal or external, but either way, it's an infection within a meibomian gland. I don't know where a meibomian gland is. They're right here in the lid margin. Oh yeah, right here. So here's the lid margin. You've got these vertical glands running all the way along the lid, and that's where a stye occurs, is within the meibomian gland and the lid margin. An internal hordeolum is going to occur further down in the gland and manifest as a bump that kind of hurts lower down. An external hordeolum, this is why I say stye. An external hordeolum is going to occur closer up to the lid margin, and that's when you might see a white head to the stye. My first tip for getting rid of a stye are hot compresses early and often. One of the best things you can do is to start hot compresses as soon as you feel that stye coming on. My pro tip for a hot compress is to boil an egg that you can then use the egg wrapped in a dishcloth, and then you want to use that hot compress and touch your eyelid where the stye is as often as possible for the first day or so. Another tip is to boil a small potato, and you can use that in the same fashion. And then if you do both, you can make like an egg and potato salad. But you just want to get heat on that eyelid as often as you can. But you want to be very cautious with the boiled egg or potato method, as you could easily burn your eyelid, and we certainly don't want that to happen. So always test against the back of your hand and be very cautious. Of course, you can always use commercially available hot compresses like an Optase mask or a Bruder mask, which that's what we have in the clinic here. My next tip is to cleanse your lid margin really well and really often. So your stye likely occurred because of an excess of bacteria on the lid margin. Now that may have occurred because you touched your eyelid with either your fingers or a makeup wand that had bacteria on it, or it could have happened just because of an overpopulation of bacteria on the lid margin itself. But in either case, I've found it very helpful to recommend my patients cleanse their lid margin. There's two great ways to do this. The first is tea tree oil. Now, I don't recommend tea tree oil on a day-to-day basis unless you're under the care of your doctor. However, when you have an active stye, this is a helpful way to clean the lid margin and potentially help reduce bacterial overpopulation. Another product that works really well is called hypochlorous acid and goes by several different commercial names like Avenova or We Love Eyes. Hypochlorous acid is really great for killing bacterial pathogens on the lid margin. And so while the stye is actively infected, I would use these several times a day, and I will go ahead and link my favorite wipes as well as sprays in the description below. Hot compresses and lid scrubs are about the extent of what you can do at home when you have a stye. However, used quickly when it first starts, they can be very effective without ever having to see your doctor. This next portion of the video is going to be the things that your doctor might offer you to help get rid of that internal stye. So first, your doctor might put you on antibiotics, whether those are oral or topical or both. Your doctor might prescribe antibiotics to help get rid of that stye more quickly. We often use topical or oral antibiotics, and typically you'll need to be on an oral course for about 7 to 10 days, but that's determined by your doctor, of course. Make sure to take the entire course to reduce the risk of antibacterial resistance. I also like to recommend that my patients use their topical drops. So if I prescribe a topical antibiotic, we're having them use it in the eye and then rub any excess over the lesion. And that's worked very, very well for my patients over the years. You might also have your doctor prescribe a steroid. Now that's not going to be oral in this case, but typically a topical drop or a combination steroid antibiotic, or they could even do a Kenalog injection. So some doctors will inject Kenalog or another steroid directly into the Chalazion or Stye in order to help it resolve more quickly. The second intervention that can be done, and this is one that I do in my clinic a lot, is IPL, so intense pulse light, and as well as photobiomodulation. So intense pulse light and photobiomodulation are light therapies that your doctor might recommend for getting rid of a Hordeolum or Chalazion. Intense pulse light in particular is extremely effective at breaking these oils up and reducing bacteria on the lid margin and reducing the inflammation. I use IPL in my clinic to get rid of Styes and Hordeolums for patients, and it's been very effective at getting the Stye gone within 1 to 2 treatments. It's even effective for longer standing Chalazions that have been there for a long time.
Is your voice to text looking real interesting?
Chalazion is shell lazy bone. I'm leaving that in. Some doctors are also using photobiomodulation as well, which is an LED light therapy that can be done in office. Once a Hordeolum is out of its active infected stage, when there's no longer any redness, hotness, tenderness to the lesion, it's just a solid bump in your eyelid that you can feel, then that's called a Chalazion, and it's not going to respond to the do-it-yourself methods I was talking about above. Chalazions, shell lazy bones, may respond to heat some. However, in general, if it's been there a while, you're going to need intervention, whether it's medicine your doctor prescribes, IPL, or even a surgery to cut the Chalazion out. And when all else fails, the option is surgery. The surgery is often done by a general ophthalmologist as well as oculoplastic surgeons. So if you do see an optometrist for your day-to-day eye care, they may refer you to one of their co-managing surgeons to have the surgery done. In my clinical experience, early care is key for Styes. In all my years of treating Styes, one thing I can tell you is that when you get them faster and you don't wait for them to simmer, you have a lot better outcomes and can get the you can get that Stye gone a lot more quickly. So I'm going to share with you a case study. This is an example video of my associate doctor. She recently had a Stye pop up on her eyelid, and she started with hot compresses, and I believe she even had access to an antibiotic eye drop before she was able to get into my clinic. When she presented, we went ahead and did a course of IPL and then let her sit under our photobiomodulation device. It's an LED called Soluma. So in her case, she noticed immediate results, and within 12 hours, her Stye was gone and she felt much, much better. She was amazed as she had been treating her Stye using traditional methods for a couple of days before presenting to our clinic and was just astounded at how quickly IPL was able to help her and get results and get that Stye gone.
I think it'd be really helpful.
So I hope that was an informative video and helpful in terms of treating your own Hordeolums and Styes at home. I know if it were me, I would obviously start with the treatment I described at home, but as soon as I could, I would get into my clinic and I would have IPL done as quickly as possible, and I'd probably sit under my photobiomodulation device as well. So I want to wish you good luck in getting rid of your Stye. As always, thank you for tuning in. That is going to be it for today's iSchool lesson. I'll see you next time. The fun part about this is I wrote this using voice to text, and so there's a little bit of interpretation that has to happen.
Also, you said something about warm compress. Those are the ones we have in clinic, as opposed to just selling people eggs and potatoes. Just select a potato out of the bin over there. A quarter each.
I wanted them to make a salad.
Or mayonnaise.
I voice to texted that whole thing. And then Piper was in the back going, "Stop, stop, stop it, Mommy." And it voice to texted it in the script. So I just have to ignore that part. Hashtag real life. All right, so